3 minutes can bury a name or resurrect it. Wind swept across Jericho Flats in 1879, carrying dust and secrets through the bones of the town. The sun hung high, gold and merciless, painting everything in the same color of survival. A train whistle moaned somewhere far away, but in Jericho Flats, time didn't move with whistles. It moved with gunshots, with shouts, with the sound of man's pride breaking. Inside the Dead Canary Saloon, the air was thick with sweat, smoke, and the kind of laughter that always hides cruelty. Piano notes stumbled drunkenly, glasses clinked, and boots scraped against warped floorboards. Men leaned over card tables with eyes that had forgotten softness. And sweeping in the corner, quiet as dust itself, was Tara Mayfield. She worked slow, deliberate. Her arms, brown, strong, scarred, moved like she was still keeping rhythm with an old fight bell that no longer rang. The room hardly saw her, not really. To them, she was furniture, something that made the world a little cleaner while they dirtied it again. But every now and then, her eyes flicked to the small boxing ring roped off near the piano, the kind of place where the night's main event always ended with blood and bets. She'd once stood in rings like that. Back east, in New Orleans, they used to chant her name, the Magnolia, the girl who could drop a man with her left hook and still smile while he fell. Then came the scandal, the match that went wrong, the dead man, and the silence. She came west to bury the fighter in her. But the West has a cruel way of digging up the dead. A shadow crossed her broom. Vince Kincaid, the fight boss, the saloon's proudest peacock, a man who'd once been punched so hard his jaw clicked when he chewed, and called him metal. He carried a silver-tipped cane and a red vest bright enough to distract from the darkness in his eyes. "You missed a spot, Magnolia," he said, tapping her broom. Tara didn't look up. "Name's Tara," she said. Missing spots helped folk feel needed. A slow chuckle rippled through the crowd. Vince smirked. "Got a mouth on her, too. My daddy used to say." "He was wrong." Tara cut in, her voice soft but sharp enough to hush the room. That earned a few whistles. The piano faltered. Vince's smile stayed, but his eyes hardened. He turned away, tapping the cane against his boot like a man thinking of cruel ways to pass time. "Seems my headliner's sick again," he announced, voice booming. "Dakota Dan's at the boils, or maybe just no balls. Either way, the crowd needs blood. Who wants to earn $50 against my boy Miller? 3 rounds, 1 minute each. You last, you win." The men hollered. Miller, a slab of muscle with more brawn than thought, cracked his knuckles and grinned at Tara. No one stepped forward. Vince turned back to her. Come on, Magnolia. Show these boys how to lace a glove." She didn't stop sweeping. "Hire a boy. Plenty of them around." "I'll pay you in kindness," Vince said, his tone dripping with mock courtesy. "Better than what the desert pays." Tara paused. Slowly, she set the broom aside. "You really want to see what I know about gloves, Mr. Kincaid?" The room shifted, sending the storm. Vince twirled his cane. "Oh, I want to see if you know your place." He tossed her a pair of old leather gloves. She caught them one-handed, smooth and easy. They didn't wobble. They landed like they'd been waiting for her. "This one's laced wrong," she said, crouching beside Miller. Southpaw trip on his own thumb. The crowd murmured. Her fingers moved like memory. "Fast, sure." Miller looked uncomfortable. "Vince," he muttered low, "you sure about this? Scared of a broom?" Vince sneered. "Shut up and smile." Tara stood, eyes steady. Vince turned to the crowd. "We got no volunteers?" "Shameful. Guess this town's all talk." "I'll do it," Tara said quietly. Silence. Even the piano stopped. Vince laughed. "Hear that, boys? The maid's got claws. You last 3 minutes with Miller, you get $100. Hell, I'll even put your name on the posters. Tara Mayfield, star of the Dead Canary." Tara met his eyes. "No posters. Give the bar girl my share instead." A rumble rolled through the room. Vince's smile faltered. "Well now," he said, forcing a laugh. "A generous maid. But my offer stands. 3 minutes. You fall, you sweep." She wiped her palms on her apron. "I don't fight Miller," she said. Miller scoffed. Scared, huh? I don't fight dogs trained by cowards, she replied, eyes on Vince. If it's a show you want, you fight me yourself. The air thinned. Vince blinked, as if the idea had never occurred to him. Someone laughed nervously. The sound died quick. 3 minutes with me? He said slowly. You know what they call me, girl? You call yourself Iron, Tara said. I'm just here to see if that rusts. Laughter burst from the men, loud, mean, electric. Vince smirked, but his grip on the cane tightened. Fine, 3 minutes. No weapons, no kicks. Just my fists and your bad decisions. Add one thing, Tara said. If I last, you give the bar girl my 100 and double whatever they bet on me. And you never call me Magnolia again. Not once. The laughter softened into murmurs. Vince hesitated, eyes darting. Then he grinned, too wide. Deal. Let's give these fine folks a miracle. The room came alive. Tables scraped aside. Men shouted. Coins clinked. A makeshift ring appeared under a haze of sunlight and dust. Tara untied her apron, folded it neatly, and handed it to the bar girl. What's your name? Tara asked. Esther, the girl said. Watch my feet, Esther, Tara said quietly. Not my face. Vince stripped off his vest, flexing for the crowd. His chest glistened like old leather, his grin white and sharp. 3 minutes, sweetheart, he said. You'll wish it were shorter. Tara wrapped her hands with linen from her pocket. Her movements were calm, almost reverent. The crowd pressed in. Every man wanted to see her fall. Some women, too. But a few, watching from the back, felt something shift deep in their bones. The bell rang. Vince circled her, light on his feet, for a big man. He threw lazy jabs, just enough to mock her. She didn't flinch, didn't move. Her eyes followed his shoulders, not his hands. He swung again. She slipped under it. A whisper of air between glove and cheek. The crowd gasped. Come on, he taunted. Dance for me? You lead, she said softly. You're better at pretend. His grin vanished. The glove snapped the air again. 1, 2, 3. She slid, blocked, deflected. Calm, unhurried. The clock ticked down. 50 seconds, someone shouted. The bell rang. Round 1 over. The crowd erupted. Vince's pride stung worse than his knuckles. Round 2 began with less laughter. Vince came harder, meaner. A right cross caught her cheek, snapping her head to the side. Blood welled. She steadied herself. He smirked. There it is. Courage crying. You'd know the sound, she said. He swung again, wild this time. She ducked, stepped in close, and drove her fist into his ribs. A short, tight punch, more truth than force. The air left his lungs. He stumbled back, stunned. The bell rang again. 2 minutes gone. The saloon was silent now, save for the creak of floorboards and the whisper of wind sneaking through the cracks. Last round. Vince barked, tried to sound amused. He wasn't. The third bell clanged. He lunged immediately, desperate to end it. She gave ground, letting him tire himself, watching his feet drag. Fight me, he shouted. I am, she said. He threw a wild hook. She stepped in. So close their breath met. His glove brushed her braid. Her fist hung in the air, coiled, ready. She didn't swing. Not yet. 25 seconds. The room was holding its breath. Vince's eyes flared. He roared and swung again, all pride, no sense. Tara stepped sideways, light as smoke. All right, Iron, she whispered. Let's see what rust sounds like. Her fist flashed. The sound was small, almost delicate. Vince's body went slack before it hit the floor. But the story wasn't over yet. The bell hadn't even rung. Tara stood over him, chest rising steady. The crowd stared, mouths open, the silence louder than gunfire. Dust hung in the air like a curtain between what the world was and what it had just become. 3 minutes. That's all it took. She looked to Esther. The girl's eyes were wide, shining, unblinking. Tara nodded once, then dropped the gloves beside Vince's cane. Outside, the sun was still burning. Inside, something new had begun smoldering, quietly, fiercely, like justice remembering his name. "Tell me, if Jericho Flats measured your worth in 3 minutes, what would you do with yours?" Tara turned from the ring, but the silence behind her was too thick to trust. The kind of silence that breathes. The kind that hides a gun behind a grin. She walked toward the bar, slow, shoulders squared, blood still trickling down her cheek. The men parted as if the air around her burned. Esther slid a glass of water toward her, but Tara didn't touch it. She didn't need it. Behind her, a groan. "Vince!" The crowd froze. The sound wasn't loud, but was enough to wake the beast that pride never lets die. He rolled onto one elbow, head bleeding, eyes glassy. The clock still ticked on the wall, mocking him with every second he hadn't won. "Stay down," Tara said without turning. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. It carried the quiet certainty of thunder before a storm. Vince spat blood on the floor. "You got lucky," he croaked. Tara faced him. "Luck's for gamblers. You were just loud." A ripple of laughter broke through the tension, but it was nervous laughter, the kind that hides fear. The men didn't know who they feared more now, Vince's vengeance or the woman who just shattered his legend in front of them. Vince pushed his feet, unsteady. His cane had rolled into the corner, but he didn't reach for it. His face was all hate and humiliation. "You think this means something?" he said, voice shaking. "You think a broom girl beating a man makes her queen of Jericho Flats?" Tara took a step forward. The floorboards creaked beneath her boots. "No," she said, "but it makes her done sweeping." The room sucked in a breath. He swung, fast, desperate, barehanded. But Tara wasn't caught off guard. She moved with a speed that felt almost calm. Her hand caught his wrist mid-swing. She twisted, turned his own momentum against him, and slammed his arm down onto the edge of the ring. A crack. Vince screamed. No one moved. Even the piano player had gone pale. Tara let him drop. His body slumped against the post, breath hitching. She didn't look at him again. Her eyes found Esther. "He keeps his word," Tara said. "Make sure he does." Esther nodded, trembling but proud. Tara walked toward the door. The saloon was so quiet she could hear her own footsteps on the boards. The sound of freedom, slow and steady. But as her hand touched the door, another voice cut through the air, deep, cold, and unfamiliar. "Hold it." The voice came from the shadow near the back wall. A man stepped forward, tall, coat dark as smoke, a silver star pinned crooked to his chest. The sheriff, or what passed for one in Jericho Flats. His hand rested easy on the grip of his revolver. His eyes flicked to Vince, who was still clutching his broken arm and moaning like a wounded animal. "Well," the sheriff drawled, "seems we got ourselves a mess." Tara didn't turn. "Clean it yourself." He smiled thinly. "You hit a man in my town. You pay the fee." "I didn't hit a man," Tara said. "I stopped one." He chuckled. "Funny thing, Vince here runs half the town's fights. His money keeps the whiskey flowing, keeps the boys working, keeps me from hanging folks for stealing bread. You break his bones, you break Jericho's order." Tara finally faced him. "Then maybe Jericho needs breaking." The sheriff's smile vanished. "Careful, girl. I hang trouble. Doesn't matter if it's wearing a dress or not." Esther stepped out from behind the bar, shaking but fierce. She didn't start it. The sheriff didn't look at her. "You best sit back down, little one." Tara's gaze didn't waver. "Let her talk. It's been your kind of silence long enough." That hit something in the man's face. A nerve. He didn't like being challenged, especially not in front of witnesses. He drew his gun, not quick, but deliberate, like he wanted her to watch the metal rise between them. The crowd scattered back, chairs screeching. Someone muttered a prayer. Tara didn't flinch. Her breath slowed. Her eyes narrowed. "You gonna shoot me, Sheriff?" she asked. In front of the same folks who just saw him lose fair. His finger rested on the trigger. Fair don't matter when the wrong person wins. The room held its breath again. Then, a sound behind the sheriff. The click of another hammer. Esther. She held a small revolver with both hands, shaking but steady enough to make the sheriff freeze. "Put it down," she said. Her voice cracked, but the steel in it made up for fear. For a long second, no one moved. Dust drifted through the sunlight like slow snow. Vince groaned again. Finally, the sheriff eased his gun back into its holster. "You'll regret this," he said. "Already have," Tara replied. She pushed open the saloon doors. Sunlight poured in, blinding and clean. Outside, the street stretched wide and empty, shimmering in the heat. Her boots hit the dirt, slow and sure. Behind her, the Dead Canary Saloon stood still as a photograph. No music, no laughter, just silence, the kind that follows truth. Esther ran out after her, breathless. "Where will you go?" she asked. Tara looked toward the distant hills, where the horizon burned gold. "Anywhere that doesn't need permission." Esther swallowed hard. "You'll come back?" Tara smiled faintly. "If they start forgetting what freedom looks like." She turned, walking down the street. Her shadow stretched long behind her, swallowing the footprints she left behind. Inside the saloon, the sheriff knelt by Vince. "You gonna let her walk?" Vince hissed. The sheriff looked toward the door, then at the frightened faces around him. He didn't answer, because deep down, everyone in that room already knew Tara Mayfield hadn't just won a fight. She'd started a war. And the question left behind, hanging in the dry air of Jericho Flats, was one nobody dared say out loud. When the next bell rings, who's going to stand their ground, and who's going to fall?